I made the exact same woodworking product with 5 different finishes, and one of these sold way more than the others. If you've ever wondered which finish actually makes your projects look more valuable, this test might surprise you. You know, I've always believed the finish can make or break a piece, but I wanted to put that theory to the test with real buyers, no opinions, just results. So here's what I did. I took one simple product, a cutting board, and finished it 5 different ways. Same wood, same design, same size. The only difference was the finish. Here are the 5 finishes I tested: mineral oil, beeswax, gloss polyurethane, matte finish, and a hybrid oil and wax blend. Each one changes how the wood looks, feels, and even how people perceive its value. And by the end of this video, we'll find out which one actually sells the most. Before we start, which finish would you choose? Glossy, natural, or matte? Let me know in the comments. I'm always curious how first impressions stack up against what actually sells. Alright, enough talking. Let's start with the finishing process and see how each one transforms a simple piece of wood. Let's start with mineral oil, my go-to for the most natural look in woodworking. What I love about mineral oil is how it brings out the grain but keeps things subtle. There's no fake shine, no heavy coating, just clean, honest wood. When you apply it, you'll see the fibers drink it up, the color deepens just a touch, and those stripes and swirls in the grain start to pop. But then it dries, and you're left with a finish that's all about understatement. This is the finish for people who appreciate simplicity. There's no gloss here, no plastic feel, nothing to distract you from the wood itself. It feels organic, almost as if the board just came out of the tree and straight onto the table. Some folks love that. It whispers handmade and natural without shouting for attention. In the workshop, applying mineral oil couldn't be easier. Just pour, rub, and wipe off the excess. It's forgiving, quick, and you can reapply as often as you like. There's a tactile satisfaction to it. The way your hands glide over the surface, the subtle change as the wood drinks in the oil. But here's the thing. While it looks and feels honest, it also needs re-oiling over time. Some buyers see that as a plus, part of the ritual, the care. Others might worry about maintenance. So it's a finish that appeals to a certain type of customer. Someone who wants to connect with their kitchen tools, not just use them. I always tell people, if you want a board that looks like wood, feels like wood, and ages like wood, mineral oil's the move. But how does that translate to sales? We'll see. For the test, I made sure each board was finished identically besides the oil. The result? A subtle board, understated but quietly beautiful. Let's see how it stacks up against the others. Now let's talk about beeswax. This is where things start to get interesting. Beeswax adds a softness to the look and feel that you just don't get with oil alone. As soon as you buff it in, you see the wood take on a slightly richer color, almost like it's glowing from within. It's not shiny, but there's a gentle sheen, like candlelight bouncing off the surface. Working with beeswax is a little different. You melt it down, blend it with a bit of oil, and then massage it into the wood with a cloth. There's a satisfying resistance as the board warms up under your hands. Once it cools, you buff it out, and suddenly the board feels silkier, smoother, almost like velvet under your fingertips. This finish is for people who want a little extra. It's still natural, still low maintenance, but it feels more finished than plain mineral oil. It's the kind of board you want to pick up and run your hands over. There's a tactile luxury to it that's hard to describe until you've felt it. Beeswax also adds a hint of richness to the color, making the grain pop just a little more. It's subtle, but it matters. Every time I've shown a beeswax finished board to friends or clients, there's this moment where their eyes light up, like they're seeing the wood for the first time. But, like mineral oil, beeswax requires some upkeep. It's not a set it and forget it finish. That can be a deal breaker for some buyers, but for others, it's part of the charm. They like the idea of tending to their board, keeping it in good shape. For the test, I made sure the application was even. No thick spots, no missed edges. The end result is a board that whispers quality, with just a hint of luxury. Let's see if that soft glow translates into sales. Now, here's where things really start to stand out. Gloss polyurethane. If you want a finish that grabs attention, this is it. The moment you brush on that first coat, you can see the entire character of the board change. It goes from subtle to showstopper in just seconds. Suddenly, the wood is reflective, almost mirror-like. It looks premium at first glance, a high-gloss shine that just screams, "Look at me." Applying gloss polyurethane is a bit more involved than oil or wax. You need thin, even coats, a dust-free environment, and honestly, a lot of patience. Each layer has to dry before you can sand and re-coat. But when you're done, you get a surface that's hard, durable, and super shiny. It's a finish that's built to last, and it really shows. This finish is for the folks who want to impress. It makes the wood look expensive, almost like a piece of luxury furniture. At craft fairs or on a sales table, this board is always the first one people pick up. The shine catches the light, draws the eye, and promises durability. But here's the twist. While gloss looks amazing, it doesn't always feel amazing. That hard, plastic-like surface can be a turnoff for some people. They want to feel the wood, not just see it. And if there's even the slightest imperfection, dust, a bubble, a missed spot, the gloss makes it obvious. Still, there's no denying the wow factor. When I put the gloss polyurethane board on display, it was like a magnet. People couldn't help but reach for it, run their fingers over the glassy surface, and ask, "How did you get it so shiny?" But does attention turn into actual sales? That's what I wanted to find out. For this test, I made sure the gloss was perfect. No streaks, no dust nibs. It's a finish that takes time, but when it's right, it's a showstopper. Let's see how it stacks up against the rest. Next up, we have the matte finish. This is the polar opposite of gloss. No shine at all. It's a look that's become really popular in modern kitchens and high-end restaurants. The finish is smooth, silky, and about as far from plastic as you can get. It feels professional but understated. A quiet confidence. Applying a matte finish takes a careful hand. You want to avoid streaks or cloudy spots, so I use a specialized matte varnish and work in thin, even coats. The result is a surface that feels almost like bare wood, but with just enough protection to stand up to daily use. There's a subtlety to it. People often have to touch it twice to realize it's finished at all. This is the finish for someone who wants their board to blend in, not stand out. It's the kind of piece you find in minimalist kitchens or modern cafes. There's sophistication in that restraint. It says, "I don't need to show off, I just work." The matte finish also highlights the natural color and grain of the wood, but in a very muted way. There's no glare, no reflection, just pure, honest material. I find it's a favorite among designers and chefs who want their tools to look good, but not steal the show. For the test, I made sure each board had a flawless matte surface, no glossing or uneven spots. It's a finish that requires a bit of finesse, but when it's right, it looks and feels amazing. But does understated sell, or do buyers want a little more pop? That's what we're here to find out. Let's see how the matte finish holds up in the lineup. Finally, let's talk about the hybrid oil and wax blend. If mineral oil is too plain and beeswax too subtle, this finish lands right in the sweet spot. You get the best of both worlds, a natural look with a bit of richness and added protection. The oil penetrates deep into the wood, while the wax sits on top, giving it a soft, inviting sheen. Applying this finish is a bit of a ritual. You start with oil, let it soak in, then come back and buff in a homemade wax blend. There's a transformation as you work. The wood goes from flat to vibrant, the grain deepens, and there's a gentle luster that feels just right. Not too shiny, not too dull. This is the finish that feels complete. It's got that hand-rubbed artisan vibe. When you pick it up, it feels smooth but not slippery. There's enough protection to handle daily use, but it still feels like wood, not plastic. It's the kind of board you want to keep on display but also use every day. Buyers who pick up this board often comment on how balanced it feels. There's a sense of care, of intention in the finish. It's the difference between good enough and just right. And it doesn't require a ton of maintenance, just an occasional re-oil and buff to keep it looking fresh. For the test, I used my favorite blend, part oil, part wax, applied in layers. The result is a board that looks rich, feels great, and stands up to use. It's a finish that invites people to pick it up, run their hands over it, and imagine it in their own kitchen. But does that balance translate into more sales? That's the big question. Let's head to the results and see which finish actually came out on top. Now let's break it down. Mineral oil gave us the purest, most natural look, a finish that feels honest and handmade, but maybe a little plain for some buyers. Beeswax added a soft glow and a touch of luxury, making the wood feel special without going over the top. Gloss polyurethane? It stole the spotlight. Tons of attention, lots of oohs and ahs, but not everyone loved the plastic feel. The matte finish was understated and modern, appealing to folks who like their boards subtle and professional. And now for the big reveal, the best-selling finish was the hybrid oil and wax. Not the shiniest, not the most basic, just the best balance. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think more shine equals more value. But in reality, too much shine can reduce trust. Buyers want something that looks good, feels good, and fits into their daily lives. The hybrid finish checked all those boxes. It invited people to use the board, not just display it. Here's the twist: gloss got the most attention, but hybrid got the most sales. That's the real lesson here. People don't just buy what looks expensive, they buy what feels right. Same product, same effort, different finish, completely different results. Now I want to know, which finish would you choose? Glossy, natural, or something in between? And should I test packaging next? Simple versus premium packaging? Let me know down below.